Created live on Fireside.
Welcome back to YNS Live with NFL Thread. Guys, we've had so many great stories, so many great people coming on and talking about why they're here and what their story is. And we have another awesome guest. Look at the jewelry. Look at the outfit. So please introduce yourself.
Angela Allen.
So you are whose best friend?
Sharice Brown.
Yes, and so you helped find Off the Field. Were you friends with her? That you're the friend that started that with her, right?
That is correct. Yes.
So, okay. So I want to hear all about this. So everyone, you guys know that Sharice, we've had her on the podcast. She's talked about her story. An amazing heart. You know, your best friend.
Yes.
I mean, just such a beautiful woman. So I would love to hear, how did that come about? How did you help her find Off the Field?
Well, actually, the fashion show came prior to Off the Field.
Right. So we've talked to a bunch of women. Right. So they've been talking about how the fashion show was here before.
So we would always go to Super Bowl and follow Tim around to all these golf tournaments. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like how boring. We would.
So there was nothing for you. What you're saying, nothing for the wives and nothing for the women. Guests, right? Nothing for the women.
Nothing for the women. So we were at one of the Super Bowls, and we just started talking, and we just started writing, you know, at the table, taking notes, scratch paper, like, give me a yellow pad, I need paper here, you know, and we just started writing something. We wanted to provide a platform where the wives are center of attraction and not so much in the shadow.
And so the fact that you just said that, that's what, after I interviewed Cynthia, I said to her, okay, why don't none of us know about this? Why don't we know that you've done a fashion show for 21 years?
Right.
And you guys raise so much money for organizations, and you help, and every single woman and every single person, even the guest, even the men that have sat here, everyone has such a heart.
Yes.
It's all about helping and doing things. So I just love that you were her friend, that we're like, let's do this. Let's get this. This is not, I don't want to be at the golf tournaments. I mean, it's, you know, we're people too, and we've got ambitions and you know, we want to do things. So tell us a little bit about you and what your background is, because YNS Live is all about storytelling.
Right. So I guess my story, the greatest part of my story is, number one, the most ironic part is I'm not an NFL wife, but I've been engrafted into this amazing group of women because of what I've done in all the years that have passed. But I think my story shifted in 2014 when I lost my spouse.
I'm sorry.
And I was a young widow, right?
Right.
So as UBS was talking about leaving a legacy and things like that, that became real for me.
Right.
You know, you have a small child, and now I'm head of household, you know?
Right.
I have to do it all. So my journey has developed into creating some products that are relating to grief. And I'm working on the jewelry line. The amazing Zoe that spoke earlier, I mean, she inspired me because I'm in the process of developing jewelry as it relates to grief.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So you and her need to connect.
We need to connect.
You do need to connect. You need to connect. Well, but that's the thing. And this is what, you know, again, everyone's going to start laughing but I talk about this all the time. We all have a path.
Yes.
And whether you believe in God or whether you believe in the universe, we all have a path. And not everyone finds it. Right. But if we listen to an intuition, there's always that feeling of, like in your gut, if you're not doing what you're meant to be doing. Like
that
God,
is correct.
He sends that to you, right? He sends it to you.
Yes.
Not all of us listen. A lot of us, you know, people ignore it. They ignore it. And what's really important is not ignoring it. Right. Is going with it. It's scary. You know, you could fail. Yep. There's so many different things that can happen. So the fact that out of tragedy, you're thinking of something and you're like, you know what? I want to do something to help more.
Yes.
And so when did that come to, like, when did you decide this is what I want to do? I want to do the jewelry. How did that come about?
Well, I decided after my daughter's book, we wrote a book called A Place Far Away, and she was 8 years old when she developed the characters, everything that was the basis of the book. But then I come along, thank you, and as you know, as the adult, and we bring structure to it. And I said, what is the thing that needs to be communicated to a young child? They don't understand death.
Right.
They don't understand you will never see this person again.
Right.
So Michaela in the book had charms which were representative of what her father left her. Courage, love,
Oh, I love that.
her love for dance, watching her dance, and the different little charms. So that's where we came up with the concept to leave something tangible
Right.
that you can remember your loved one by.
That is amazing. That's beautiful. And the fact that you and your daughter are doing it together.
That's right.
I mean, look at your smile.
Yes.
I mean, that is incredible.
Yes.
And it is one of those things that one of the women that I interviewed when you started talking, it brought me back. She was one of my first interviews.
Okay.
And she has something called the Fairy Club. Now, her niece was murdered in London, and they never had any tragedy. She's like, we had just she's like, we had nothing. She's like, we had like the perfect kind of family. Things were sad sometimes, but never anything like that. And their entire family fell apart because no one knew how to deal with it.
No one knew
how to deal. So she created all these books, and this whole but hers was around fairies. She loved fairies, and so each fairy has an emotion and things like that. But that's where it reminded me. It kind of brought me to that because it is sometimes out of tragedy, beautiful things can happen.
Yes,
and it doesn't dismiss that you had a terrible thing happen to your daughter. A terrible thing happen.
Yes,
but the fact that she's looking at it and saying, "Okay, Dad's here with us.
He's here with us,"
and then we start getting like all emotional. But he's here with us. He's here with us, and he has put this in my path to start creating this.
Yes,
it's a really beautiful thing.
Yes.
So tell us where people can find you.
Oh, wow. Really, on my phone number. I've not developed the website
but
yet.
What email? Because so people can, so they
email.
can follow.
Yeah. So
do you have an Instagram or Facebook?
I do. I have Instagram.
So that's where they can find you.
Yes.
That's where you'll start talking about it when it comes out,
Absolutely.
Right? So that's what you're going to talk about.
And it's under Masterful Collective. MasterfulCollective. Masterful Collective. That's my Instagram. And I'm also on Facebook under Angela Richardson Allen.
So perfect. So people can go and they can follow this unfold, which is really fun.
That's right. It's going to be unfolding. I'm so inspired. And I want to thank you for what you've done and the stories that you brought up, because it encourages people like me when sometimes you think like, no, you get insecure, but then you hear something amazing and you said, you know what, I can do it too.
Right. So I'm going to give you my card because I want you to, as you keep creating this, I want you to come on the podcast and really talk about it. Okay. And as it's like, getting into fruition. Yes.
Let's do that.
Yes, please do. Oh my gosh, Angela, it's so nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining YNS Live with NFL Thread Podcast.